friends of influencers, what are they really like behind the cameras? It's annoying AF. One of my buddies is constantly filming everything we do and posting it. It's to the point where people walk up to me on the street and ask me about him because they've seen me in his posts. I have no idea who they are. It dominates everything he does and has severely impacted his personal relationships. He can't keep a GF, and it's clearly related to this obsession of his. He does occasionally get some cool stuff out of it though. After pretty much kicking him out of my life because I do not want to be continually posted online, we've come to the understanding that when he's about to take a pic or video, he hands me the phone so I'm not in the shot. Works okay for me. She hasn't come to anything I've invited her to in 5 years because she only goes to events that further her business. Regularly says things like, "We are all using each other for something." Sometimes she texts me the same exact thing word for word over a couple of days, and it's obvious she just copy/pastes the same thing and sends it to all of us and then forgets who she has sent it to. She still reaches out to me multiple times a year and claims I'm one of her best friends, but it sure doesn't feel like it. I've told her as much, but she just says this is my life now. My business comes first, and if you can't accept that, then I guess you're not a real friend. I dated one, not super popular, but followers in the 100k range last time we spoke. I remember a lot of getting ignored and only receiving nice gifts/acts of kindness when they could post about it. Asking me to go to nice places they didn't drive, only to leave me on a bench somewhere while they took pictures. Huge strain on the relationship, especially when they started to get bigger and there was more demand for content. Sad. In the beginning they started because they got offers from brands, because they were so popular on Instagram, and it was a lot of fun for them. Now they don't ever post pictures or videos without a filter. Rarely ever like a picture on the first try, and don't you dare post any pictures of them without getting their approval for it. Imagine trying to get a group picture with all of your friends for your birthday, but having you take almost 100 shots to get one that your influencer friend is happy with. Also in the beginning I would like and comment on all of their posts, but now that's not enough. They expect me message it others, share it on my stories and my page, something about new rhythms, and likes not being important anymore. I hate posting stuff to my page, but I do it anyway to be supportive. It is so tiring. They do get free things sometimes though, that they sometimes share with me. Not worth it emo. Two of my distant cousins, they are sisters, and are relatively well-known YouTubers. I remember the first time I met them, I was 9 years old, and saw that one of them was fiddling with a program on her laptop. I asked her what it was, and she showed me her editing software. Thinking back, it was probably iMovie, and basically told me about how she records videos and posts them to YouTube, and that she had about 5,000 subscribers. She was really passionate and excited about it, and it seemed like she could go on and on for hours. I don't think she got paid a penny. I thought it was cool at the time, but didn't think much of it. Just a hobby, I figured. Fast forward almost 10 years, and she has nearly 9 million subscribers, lives in a beautiful house in LA, and makes more money than anyone else her age could dream of. Her sister graduated college, but she saw her success and fell into the same influencer trap as well, because that's where the money was slashes. So they both influence full time and have a whole team of people to do editing, assistant work, PR, managing, etc. I would say the most obvious thing is that the first sister I talked about seems to have lost touch with reality, simply because she's been doing this for so long. She acts much younger than her age to get views and maintain relevancy, and she's gotten very used to living a privileged life, so much so that she frequently complains about how difficult her job is, when there is no doubt in my mind that if it were to all disappear tomorrow, she'd be like a deer in headlights working something like a 9 to 5. Considering she doesn't even edit her own videos or set up her own camera, she has hardly a thing to complain about, especially sitting in front of your vlog camera and crying to the people who are watching your videos and essentially paying your bills about how stressful your job is. I mean, this girl literally has an assistant to fetch her coffee and salads, as if she has no time to do it herself. Maybe having an assistant is just an influencer or status thing to do. She lives a very spoon-fed life and seems to frequently forget it. Fortunately, the college graduate sister is very down to earth, and even she seems to acknowledge the ridiculousness of the whole thing. But at the end of the day, they are doing very well, and I will always wish them the best. I just find myself wondering how much longer it will last for them. My cousin is a moderately successful Instagram model and she absolutely hates it. She hates her fans, finds them all cringy and pathetic, hates the drama, and how PC it all is. She's very conservative/traditional. Only does it because it's the only way she can make money. She dropped out of school, and endorsing products and taking pictures of herself is the only way she knows how to pay rent. She's basically the complete opposite of the happy bubbly ditzy girl she plays online, and we often laugh over some of the messages she receives, including proposals and women angry that their sons/husbands are following her. Awful. One of my best friends fell real hard into Instagram, and for a few years it was tolerable and understandable, albeit annoying and strange. Everything needed to be documented in specific ways, so lots and lots of photos, even if it took away from the moment. But the strange part was how, when she'd share things, the captions always told a slightly different story than what actually happened. Like just off enough for me and my other friends to say, huh, that has a weird quality to it. Fast forward a couple years, and she gets engaged. Boom. This was the catalyst for the worst of the influencer mentality to come out. I was in the bridal party, and it was a nightmare. No gratitude, just demands. Demands for expensive trips and expensive parties and all kinds of things that were above and beyond the means of her closest friends. And all the demands were because she had a following and had certain expectations to meet. It was really heart-wrenching to witness someone belittle their best friend and maid of honor for trying to plan a sweet bridal shower because it wasn't going to be at an expensive restaurant or art gallery. It reached its peak for me when, after the in-state wedding became an expensive destination wedding, there was the demand for an out-of-town bachelorette party a few weeks before. I was honest and said I couldn't afford the bachelorette. Mind you, I made about 1,000 sacrifices over those months to afford what I could, and was promptly bridezilled and told I ruined the whole experience and that I was an awful, fake, inauthentic person. It got so bad that the bridal party fractured and disintegrated. She lost 2 of her best friends. Myself and the MOH didn't even attend the wedding after all her behavior and blow-ups, and we've barely spoken since. Also, she could have an Instagrammable wedding that would look good for the few photos she ended up sharing of it. And, true to the weird, strange, rewritten reality way she had, she published a public apology on her blog for her followers and family that completely distorted and rewrote what happened, painted herself as the victim, and got her the sympathy points she was looking for. People really lose themselves when they create an artifice for social media. I learned a lot from her. Pretty mundane, honestly. My friend is conventionally attractive, and if you look at her social media, you'd think she were a supermodel millionaire who goes on tons of trips. She's actually chronically unemployed and has an income of less than 10k/year. Her boyfriend makes about $60k/year, which is enough to afford them a very nice 3.5 bedroom apartment, and she has tons of props she uses to make each room look different from day to day, so it seems like she's always in a new exotic place. They take 2 trips a year to fun, tropical places, in which she takes many photos and posts them as different places throughout the year. She's a very kind, considerate, sparkling personality, but whenever we hang out, I tend to be a shoulder to cry on as she laments about her lack of success in life. It's quite sad, honestly, but with her creativity and personality, I think she'll achieve her dreams eventually. Not an influencer as such, but I worked as an animator for an educational kids YouTube channel for a number of years. My boss was obsessed with views and subscriber count. A big part of one of my colleagues' jobs was spending hours trawling through all our competitors' videos and channels, putting all their views and subscriber counts into a massive spreadsheet. He also couldn't work out why none of his employees were as invested in the channel as he was, and why we weren't all clamoring to do huge amounts of unpaid overtime in the name of furthering the channel's growth. When I got hired, the channel had just passed 1 million subs and 1 billion views, and both those numbers doubled by the time I left. This was a few years ago, before YouTube Kids was even a thing, but kids videos always get a huge amount of views. Last I heard he had fired all of his remaining employees and was making unboxing videos alone in his house that get hardly any views. Had a friend who did YouTube videos and was pretty big in this niche community. It was fun for 10 seconds and then it was super cringy. I was so self-aware of everything I was doing, knowing I could be shared on YouTube. I got grumpy when she would pull out the camera so she wouldn't film me. Some of her fans used to like me and tell her to hang out with me, so she wanted us to do videos more, but I would just avoid the topic. Eventually she had a fight with my best friend and stopped hanging out with us. Then there was drama of why she wasn't hanging out with us. It was so annoying. Thankfully I was a quick phase in her video career, so didn't lose much. My wife is an influencer in a particular niche. She's not a megastar, but has a solid following with a high engagement rate. She mostly sticks to Twitter and YouTube. She doesn't let it dominate her life and keeps her social media time confined to work hours. This took some learning, because we allowed it to bleed into our personal life at first, but calibrated for that work-home life balance. I have a job that pays well enough, so she is free to pursue this without the worry of will it pay the bills. This is very important as influencer profits can be wildly inconsistent. She makes roughly the equivalent of minimum wage plus we get a bunch of free stuff from some companies that we love. And we also regularly go to conventions for free and get to rub shoulders with some fairly famous people when we go. So that's pretty cool. My sister was an influencer of sorts. She was on Instagram doing bodybuilding and was sponsored by a few protein shake companies. She didn't have mega fame or anything but did have friends in high places. She was one of those bitchy popular girls in high school, and that persona carried on into her influencer career. She was very distant from her family and cut off most of her old friends. The few times she did visit, she was very selective about who could be seen with her. She moved to another city to be closer to the bodybuilding scene, building up followers as she went. She dated some guy who gave her a lavish lifestyle for a bit, then cheated on her after a few years, probably entire time, so she moved to other side of country. Continued her bodybuilding, but decided she wanted to be a cop. They told her she'd never be a cop with a social media presence like that, because too easy for media to use it against her. So she went home, deleted every account that day and went back. Now she's a cop and doing so much better in life than she ever did before. All of her old personality is gone, and I've never been prouder of her in my life. She's really nice now and spends her days being a small town cop out in the middle of nowhere. I was best friends with a now influencer. She's a genuine person but also lies, if that makes sense. She very much about empower women and helping people accept themselves and build their confidence, which is a great platform. However, some of the anecdotes she tells about struggling with fitting in when she was a teen are blatant lies. She was popular and every guy had a crush on her. I don't want to undermine whatever internal struggle she faced, but when she tells stories about bullying in high school, they're lies. She's genuine about wanting to be positive for people. I just wish she did it a bit more honestly. Not a friend per se, but my ex's sister is an influencer, beauty/makeup, with over 1 million followers on YouTube. She was so anxious and stressed all the time. Horribly insecure. If she got some backlash or bad comments she'd be so upset. Was on a lot of anti-anxiety medication. Meanwhile all the posts are her looking beautiful and traveling etc. She didn't have many friends either, that I saw anyway. Just lots of fans. It looked horrible. Ruined the illusion for me that their lifestyles are perfect/happy, and I'm thankful for being able to see behind the curtain. One of my best friends dated a really insta-famous guy. He invited us to his house for a Christmas party and this is when I realized how fake social media was. The guy didn't have the car he paraded on social media. He leased it, took several photo shoots with it, then gave it back. His house was in a different city than he claimed. I don't think it was for security reasons though. He said he lived in a very rich city, but his house was in a more modest place. He asked me to send him the videos I took at the party, posted them, and didn't even tag me, because I didn't have enough followers. The worst part was that all the social media people at the party just kept yelling over each other trying to make the next big joke, but none of them were funny. Dude has millions of people fooled. I once saw two influencers taking photos on the beach. They were both incredibly attractive young women in extremely small bikinis taking turns taking photos of each other sitting down staring into the ocean etc. My favorite photos were when they both took turns pretending to run into the water, freeze framing themselves mid-stride while the other took pictures. Like and subscribe for more Reddit videos.